Good evening, everyone. Happy Monday. Sports Hounds are live exclusively on A2DRadio.com. I'm, of course, Rob Brakeman. He's, of course, Brad Ryer, Frank Vesby, our esteemed producer, keeping the train on the tracks behind the scenes per usual. As always, the Sports Hounds are brought to you by Dr. Paul Vidal. He's A2D Radio's doctor. Make him yours, too. Specialized physical therapy, 3 convenient locations, Burlington, Cherry Hill, and Princeton. Like I said, he's our doc. Make him yours, too. Also brought to you by the Gutter Guys at Ambuck Services. They are the gutter and deck experts in South Jersey. Give them a call at 856-879-5530. As always, we are live, Facebook, Periscope, Instagram, YouTube. You miss anything, like, subscribe, share. iTunes, download us in podcast form. iTunes, iHeartRadio, Google, Spreaker, Spotify, Google Play. We're the fastest growing sports media company in the country. Also, a big shout out to PhillyDrinkers.com. That's Philly Drinkers LLC. Check out the A2D Radio collection on their website. Get some nice garb. I got my t-shirt on. They got a whole new fall collection. Anything you can want, A2D Radio. We need you, fam, to grow this brand. We need as many human billboards as possible. Check out PhillyDrinkers.com, the A2D Radio collection at your earliest convenience. Holidays are coming up. They make for great gifts. So, Brad, what's going on tonight? We got a lot going on. We got the NFC East, which is an absolute train wreck.
Awful. Just awful.
We have the MLB playoffs in full swing. The Houston Astros look like they're going to take care of business in Game 1. They're up 5-1 they need 3 defensive outs to take a 1-0 lead. Your Yankees are on in just a few minutes at 8 o'clock. We'll keep everyone updated, live react to those as they're going on. We have 2 Monday Night Football games tonight, which you know I'm on record as loving. Get rid of that stinky Thursday game. Let's get 2 Monday.
I agree with you about that. That's just...
The Kansas City Chiefs are hosting the New England Patriots. The Chiefs have they've kicked 2 field goals. It is 6-0 Kansas City Chiefs. Around 9 o'clock, the normal Monday Night Football game. Yes, I did, Victoria. Well done. Yes, Victoria Taylor, newest member of our team here at A2D Radio. Brad, she whooped my ass in fantasy football this week.
Oh.
Dominated me. Yes. I don't even know. Everyone that went off and no one on my team did good. But basketball standpoint, Doc Rivers officially introduces the Philadelphia 76ers head coach. I like to get on the Sixers a lot, but I couldn't be more excited for this coaching hire.
That was a good move. I told you they were going to go after a point guard, though. That was pretty much a guarantee.
You were correct. I don't know what the Clippers are doing out there. I don't know who they expect that they're going to get to be their head coach out there that's better.
I think that's right now. I don't know what what is it that they want to do? I mean, I don't get that at all. Very puzzling.
I mean, they had a great coach in Doc Rivers. They have 2 established superstars. They don't have a first-round draft pick until the year 2027. So I don't understand what their logic was in firing a coach the caliber of Doc Rivers, but the Sixers will take it. He's going to be an adult in the room. I absolutely love it. The Heat, they climbed back in the series last night. An absolutely legendary performance by one of my favorite players in the NBA, Jimmy Butler, a triple-double, shorthanded.
With half the team missing. I mean, that is impressive.
It was LeBron James-esque.
Yeah, it was. It was. I mean, he is playing at a very high level right now.
2-1. I don't think they think they have much of a chance to win the series, but it was nice to see them not get swept and kind of make it somewhat.
They're making it respectable. I mean, are any of those guys going to come back?
It looks like Bam Adebayo, the skilled big man for the Heat, it looks like he's going to try and play Game 4. So that'll help a lot, especially with one Anthony Davis on the Lakers. But Goran Dragic, their starting point guard, his foot sounds like a real bugaboo. Doesn't sound like he's coming back anytime soon.
That's a shame because it may be hard pressed to win that series anyway at full strength. And,
correct.
Missing some of these guys, it's good. I mean, if Jimmy Butler can continue to play the way he did the other night, I mean, with a triple double, And maybe it'll happen, but you can't expect him to do that every night.
The baseball game is final. The Houston Astros have taken a 1-0 series lead on the Oakland Athletics. They win 10-5. Oakland's bullpen kind of imploded, and Brad, it looks like the Astros might have a little bit of a swagger to them, a little bit of a chip on their shoulder, taking out the Minnesota Twins as underdogs. They're underdogs today. They're underdogs in this.
Let's be honest, okay? The Twins. Once the playoffs start, the Twins go away.
You're correct.
I mean, come on, they've lost 18 in a row, something like that. I mean, of course, the Yankees are the ones that kept beating them down all the time. But I mean, they're just not. The Twins just aren't good. They can't get it done in the playoffs. None of them. No,
they don't have the pitching. They have the line.
That game too was awful. I mean, Eddie Rosario gets called out on strikes, and then he goes and he starts screaming at the home plate umpire and gets himself tossed. You can't do that in a deciding game. I mean, what was he thinking?
He's a very good player. He can't be getting thrown out.
No, I mean, listen. When the team's not hitting, I get it that they were very frustrated and they weren't hitting and they always seem to never hit in the playoffs. But I mean, you can't allow yourself to get thrown out like that.
No, it's terrible. And then we got the National League. National League's going to be starting up tomorrow. It's all division. It's all division rivalries here in the NLDS. They're best of 5 series. They're bubbled. But National League, we got the Braves and the Marlins. Right? Isn't it incredible that the Marlins have played in 7 postseason series in their franchise's history? They've never lost one. They're 7-0.
Yeah, I know. That is pretty bizarre. Are the Dodgers playing at home?
No, I believe they're in Houston.
They're in Houston. Oh, okay. Because I was going to say, because I thought that they were playing all the games either Dodger Stadium or Petco Park.
No, it's the Astros Stadium, the Rangers Stadium, and
all right.
Padres Stadium.
Well, the Padres have a new stadium. Petco is the old field, right?
I'm not good with stadium names.
I think the old field. I believe the old field is the old field's Petco. I think they have a new stadium. They built a new stadium down there, I believe.
In San Diego?
Yeah, I think they did.
I don't know what they call it. They have a new stadium. I don't know what they call it. I thought it was
Petco. Well, I'm not worried about the name of it. I'm just saying the old field, the Yankees and Rays are playing on the old field. And that might hurt the Rays more than it hurts the Yankees because, to be honest with you, when the Yankees hit home runs, they're usually tape measure shots. So I think that it's not gonna be a big deal for them. The Rays don't have the power that the Yankees have, and to be honest with you, let's just make sure we understand when the Rays won against the Yankees this year, the Yankees were missing their 4 top players.
There's Greg. Greg is Johnny on the spot. The old stadium in San Diego was Qualcomm. The new one is Petco.
Okay. So they're playing in the new one. Okay.
And then we have the Dodgers. They're playing our San Diego Padres. And boy, I've really come to adopt the San Diego Padres as my squad, as the Phillies are absolutely eliminated.
Yeah, I'm rooting for them in the National League without a doubt.
Well, yeah, I would expect you to root for the Yankees. You have a dog in the fight. But, we've had Bob Chandler on. Tatis is awesome. So I like the Padres. I want the Padres to win. Dodgers are obviously loaded and are favored, and rightfully so. But go Padres in that series.
Yep.
And then, and of course, the Phillies keeping themselves relevant in the news. Matt Klentak stepping down as GM. So their GM search.
I would be very happy about that. I mean, he was about as feudal a GM as you've ever had.
He wasn't very good, and I don't think we're gonna get into it later we will. I think the Phillies might have a serious problem in terms of their owner, Mr. Middleton. Because
that's not fair. He spent enough money. I mean, he went and spent the money on Didi, and he spent the money on who else did he get?
They got Bryce Harper. They
they went and got Wheeler. I mean, he spent some money this off season. I mean, I don't know. That's
fair point.
I mean, Klentak, I think, is a bigger problem. It's the bigger problem. Klentak just isn't aggressive enough.
Let's get to
Let's get to our main thing, though.
Get to the poll question. Once again, our poll question is brought to you by Philly Drinkers LLC. Check out phillydrinkers.com. Check out the A2D radio collection. Holidays are right around the corner. We got great winter, fall, summer wardrobe, great prices, fashionable, awesome. Also, check out A2D radio on the boardwalk. Ocean City, New Jersey, the whole month of October. We're going to be down there. Brad, I think you went there yesterday.
Yes, I did.
And I will be down there.
It was beautiful down there. I'll tell you what. Beautiful.
I couldn't be there yesterday, but I'm going to be there next Sunday. I'm sure Tom's going to be there, and Greg Milakovic, the A2D personalities will be there.
Yeah, it's going to be on. It's on 10th Avenue for all you guys. Or no, is it 10th Street? I can't remember what. It's 10th Street, and it's in front of that baseball cap place.
And we'll be updating the social media, my personal social media, as well as the A2D radio social media. So check us out. We're going to be hanging out the whole month of October down there in Ocean City. So come meet and greet us. We'd love to meet everybody. And obviously, we're doing a little partnership with some ESPN radio, growing the brand. Like I said, we're the fastest growing sports media company in the country.
Yeah, and by the way, they had 25% off in that store, in the baseball cap store. And the pizza place right next door was offering 25% off pizzas. So, maybe they'll do it again this week, guys. Come down. Good food. Nice place. I'll tell you what, Ocean City was hopping yesterday.
Good. We like to see that. But let's get to our poll question, phillydrinkers.com. Check out the A2D radio collection. Buy some stuff. The NFC East, this is a softball because there's no way you can't not agree to the poll. Yes, All Campus is the name of the
Thank you.
It's on 10th Street in Ocean City. I'll be there next Sunday. Brad might stop by. Tommy Arnone will be there. I'm sure a lot of other ATD radio personalities will be there as well. The NFC East is the worst division in football. Brad, this is obviously a softball.
That's a slam dunk. I mean, I think the bigger question is it one of the worst divisions of all time? Because I don't know that any of these teams are going to be over 500.
I would disagree with that. I do think the Eagles are the favorites in the division. Eagles get a big win last night in San Francisco. They're 1-2-1. They are in first place in the NFC East. And Brad, I think they have the least amount of problems of all the teams in the division.
Well, they're not. Listen, the Eagles haven't been playing well this year. Let's not kid
They have not. No.
That was an ugly game yesterday. Keep in mind the 49ers did not have their starting quarterback. It was a backup quarterback who imploded in the fourth quarter. But the Eagles won a game they had to win. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, no matter what you say, I could poo-poo it till the end of time. The Eagles had to win that game, even if they lost and they were half a game behind Dallas. The point is they had to get a win because you have to get off the schneid. Can't keep going over, and then you have Pittsburgh next week. I mean, if they lost this game, they'd be looking at 0-4-1, and you just don't want to have that bad of a record. That's not where you want to be if you're the Philadelphia Eagles.
But when I look around the division, I say the Eagles are the favorites. They have the least amount of problems you look at Dallas yesterday at 1:00. They would have 49 points to the Cleveland Browns. Their defense is atrocious.
Awful. I mean, it's unbelievable. What did they give up? They gave up almost 300 yards rushing again.
And Nick Chubb left the game early.
Right. But it didn't matter. Hunt came in, and I'll tell you what, that end around with Odell Beckham in the fourth quarter.
Kind of ice it.
What a great play that was. And the crazy thing was Alden Smith was in there and almost tackled him, and Beckham kind of shoved him off and then just turned on the Jets, and nobody was able to catch him. But
Brett, when I look at the Cowboys, I don't think their offense is playing that great either. Because you look at the game yesterday, Dak started piling up some stats and started putting points on the board.
It was 41-14.
Yeah, the Browns are playing off coverage. They're just letting them kind of catch the ball and run a little bit after, and all of a sudden they got a couple touchdowns on the board. And then whenever the Browns needed to make a play, they were able to. So they got a lot of problems down there in Dallas. Mike McCarthy, he's slightly better than Jason Garrett, but I was worried about
their offense is very, very good. But I'll tell you what. Again, it's all when it comes to the Cowboys. It's all about stopping the other team, and they're not doing it right now.
And then you have the Washington football team. Their only win. So the NFC East only has 3 wins. Your Giants are 0-4. The Washington football team beat the Eagles in Week 1. The Eagles beat the Niners last night, and the Cowboys, they beat the Falcons in Week 2, I think it was.
Yeah, but that was a miracle win. They should be
a miracle comeback against an awful team in Atlanta.
Yeah, they should be 0-4.
So NFC's got a lot of problems. I do consider the Eagles the favorite in the East, though. I see a path to 9 wins.
Oh yeah, well I don't know about 9 wins, but I mean if they win 8, they'll probably win the division because the division is so putrid. But I got to tell you, the Eagles are still not even a top 15 team in the league right now.
No.
They're barely a top 20 team right now, but they're good enough to win our division, and that's really all that matters, to be honest. Because once you make the tournament, anything can happen.
Then everyone's 0-0.
That's correct. So I mean, that's really what it boils down to.
Getting back to the Eagles forced turnovers last night. I thought they pressured Mullins and Beathard very well. I think a lot of players on the Eagles defense are playing really good football.
They picked it up in the fourth quarter. They really did. I mean, they did an excellent job shutting down that 49er ground game. And, they definitely intimidated Mullins. And then they brought in Beathard. And, Beathard was able to get that touchdown late. But, I mean, let's be honest. The Eagles just wanted to make sure the 49ers didn't get a quick score. And the Eagles were not going to choke on an onside kick. They're too well coached and too smart for that to happen.
But number 97, Malik Jackson, is having a fantastic season. Derek Barnett, a former first-round pick that I've really gotten on Derek Barnett a lot.
He had a real good game yesterday.
He's had a couple really good games in a row.
Slay's been outstanding, by the way.
Slay has been absolutely outstanding. Jalen Mills, despite a position change last night due to injury, he's been terrific. Vontae Maddox wasn't able to go last night, so Jalen Mills goes back to corner. They start the kid from Clemson at safety, which I like to see. He didn't have the best game, but I think they got to keep him in the mix.
I mean, listen, when you have the 49ers receivers, I mean, other than George Kittle, there's really not a lot to have to worry about. But that George Kittle is terrific. But I mean,
even at not 100%, George Kittle is a beast.
Yeah, well, I'd like to have him at 70% on my team. I'll tell you what,
that's correct. And then when it comes to the offensive side of the ball, I thought Carson played okay. I thought he played poor at times, but he played great when they needed him the most. He made that great throw to a receiver I've never even heard of to win the game. That was terrific.
That was a pretty pass. That was a pretty pass.
Fulgham, whoever that is, Old Dominion. I mean, this is what the Eagles need. This is where you're at. You need guys like this to especially on the offensive line. Mailata had an awful first start penalty in the first half. I nearly pulled my hair out of my head, but I thought he played well. Herbig continues to play well. You have Kelsey. Hopefully Lane Johnson can go next week. He left the game last night. But,
it may have been just that he was worn out and they were trying to avoid injury at the end of the game. I mean, he's got a whole week to heal. I'll tell you what, though. They're going to have to play better next week if they want to beat Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh is going to give them all they can handle and more.
Pittsburgh. The Steelers are 3-0. Obviously, their game was postponed this week to Week 7 because of the COVID pandemic. But Brad, so they're coming off a bye week, which I'm not thrilled about. I don't like that they have extra rest and the Eagles are on a short week coming across country. I don't like any of that stuff. But it is what it is, and the Eagles are going to have to adapt and overcome. They're in Pittsburgh, but there's no fans in Pittsburgh. But should I really be that scared of the Pittsburgh Steelers next week? They beat the Giants, who are 0-4 Week 1. They beat the Texans in Week 3, who are a train wreck. Bill O'Brien finally got fired. And they beat – what did they beat? The Bengals in Week 2?
Was it the Bengals? May have been.
I forget, but they've only played a team with one win. Whoever they played week 2, they have one win.
Well, if you want to look at the 49ers, who you just beat yesterday, the 2 wins they have are against teams that are combined 0-8. So the only thing I would say is I think Pittsburgh is better than the Eagles. I think they got a better quarterback. I think they've got the best receiver on the field. I think the lines are about even. I think the defenses are about even. But I would give Pittsburgh the edge. I just think they're a better team, and I think the Eagles are not going to win that game, especially on the road. I cannot imagine them winning 2 games in a row on the road. That would be shocking. But I'll tell you what, if they could ever pull it off and get themselves to 2-2-1, then they will send a message to everybody else.
You have to find a way. The Eagles have to find a way to beat. They got to go 1-1. They got Pittsburgh on the road, and then they got Baltimore at home. You got to find a way to go 1-1 in this stretch, because then
I'll tell you what, that's a tough stretch. But you know what? If they can do it, I think they need to beat Pittsburgh. I think beating the Ravens is going to be.
I agree with you.
A monumental task for them.
I think beating Pittsburgh is much more attainable than beating the Baltimore Ravens. But let's say you go 1-1 in these 2 games, then you got Dallas, and then you got New York.
Dallas has the Giants next week.
Right, and then you have a bye week. So the Eagles have 4 games left to their going into the bye week. This team's got to go 3-1. They have to go 3-1, and I think that
they don't have to go 3-1. Not in our division, they don't. You're forgetting.
No, because Washington and New York are dumpster fires. They're not factors, but Dallas is going to win some games.
You lost one of those games to Washington, and Dallas gets to have 2 games with Washington. That the thing is, the Cowboys haven't had their real soft games yet, while the Eagles have had 2 soft games. Don't forget the Cowboys get to play the Bengals, and I don't expect them to lose to the Bengals. Although you never know. Joe Burrow could take them apart. You never know. And but Dallas, you really think Dallas is going to lose to the Redskins? They could, I suppose, but
I don't know.
Anything can happen. It is the NFL. It's going to be tough.
Dallas isn't guaranteed to beat anybody right now with that defense. They can't stop a nosebleed.
No, they can't. Although I will say this, they seem to play better for whatever reason. They seem to be playing better on the road than they do at home. The Ram game, they were terrible yesterday. They were horrendously bad. I'll tell you what, watching the Cleveland Browns just destroy them yesterday. As far as being a Giant fan and seeing Beckham destroy them, that's just about the most fun you could have with your clothes on as a football fan.
I couldn't agree more.
When it was 41-14, how
awesome.
How great was that?
Because I placed a wager on the Cleveland Browns yesterday, plus 4.5, and I'm coasting the whole second half. So even when the Cowboys are making their run, they're not going to win by 5 points.
No.
Because it rarely happens where you have a runaway in the NFL like that. And you can just kick your feet up and just count your money by halftime.
Not when it's the road team blowing out the home team. You got to figure the home team is eventually gonna put together some kind of a surge, and try to make it somewhat respectable. But it was real. I'll tell you what, really a very impressive win for the Eagles. The defense yesterday finally came out and got some shutdown plays. They shut the 49ers down when it counted in the fourth quarter. The 49ers didn't run all over them the way some of the other teams have been running all over them. And, I thought the linebackers played better yesterday too. I know Kittle got his yards, but listen, nobody's going to stop Kittle. He's unstoppable. The man's a beast. Unless you put 3 or 4 guys on him, he's going to catch the ball. He's a man-child.
Really, the only team that carved up the Eagles defense was the Los Angeles Rams. That's who your Giants played yesterday. And Brad, the Giants put up a fight yesterday.
Yes, they did. I mean, I thought their defense really, really played well yesterday. Unfortunately, they had the one missed assignment in the fourth quarter on Cooper Kupp, and Cooper Kupp just beat them to the end zone. I mean, that was a shame because I'll tell you what, they stayed in the game. They were able to not make a lot of turnovers, but the problem is Daniel Jones never is able to throw the ball down the field. Now, I don't know if it's Jason Garrett who won't allow him to do it or if it's Joe Judge, but it just like every play is a 5-yard pass. And, we don't have Odell Beckham anymore. These guys are not going to get the ball after they catch it and then run for an extra 20, 30 yards unless it's Evan Ingram. And I mean, Evan Ingram, they were double covering him. So it's really, really hard until they get Sterling Shepard back. It's going to be tough for them to really muster any kind of an offense. They just can't throw the ball down the field. I mean, they really do miss Beckham. And, Gettleman right now getting a lot of heat. Because the team the offense looks listless.
Has Daniel Jones regressed, Brad?
Oh, yeah. Big time. Part of the problem, and the guys who were doing the broadcast yesterday were showing just how much Daniel Jones is staring down his receivers. Because basically what's going on is, and they made a point that I don't remember who the commentator was, but he was very, very good. He made a point. They were showing Daniel Jones looking down the field, and the safeties were just watching the stripe in his helmet. Okay, and whichever way the stripe was pointing was where he was throwing the ball. He doesn't do progressions. He doesn't look off one receiver and go to another. He's staring down his receivers. He's telegraphing his passes. That's why he's giving up so many interceptions. That's why the receivers, when they catch the ball, there's no yards after the catch because he's giving away where he's throwing the ball. He won't look down the field one way and then come back and go the other way. And that's the problem.
I don't think it helps him at all that, Saquon Barkley obviously out for the season with a torn ACL. I don't think that's not doing the quarterback.
The team ran for 130 yards against the Rams yesterday. They were able to move the ball and run the ball. I mean, the offensive line, rushing-wise, did a real nice job, and I think he only got sacked twice yesterday. Or was it 3 times? I can't. He didn't get sacked all that many times.
But my point about the running game is you don't game plan for Devontae Freeman, who you just signed up off the street.
No, but but Wayne Gallman was doing a nice job, and the other guy,
he's not getting the attention.
He's not. It's not. He's not
during the week. Daniel Jones is getting it.
Yeah, well, Daniel Jones is the one that's doing the most running, and he's gaining the most yardage, and that's obviously a problem when your quarterback, unless you're Lamar Jackson over in Baltimore. I mean, you can't be. Your quarterback shouldn't be leading the team in yardage running. That's not a good thing to have.
Unless you have Lamar Jackson or Michael Vick or Randall Cunningham back in their day.
Right, exactly. Mahomes. I mean, he shouldn't be either because
he's an athlete. But I mean, boy,
this you don't want him running. If you
strip back by New England, this New England defense is giving this Kansas City offense fits.
Yeah, and you know what? Mahomes just fumbled, and
I don't have my sound on, but Bill Belichick is livid.
Well, I'll tell you what, New England just got robbed because Mahomes fumbled, and the Patriot guy picked the ball up, and he was running it in for a touchdown, and that was a legitimate fumble. That was a horrible call.
So, what do they do? Blow the whistle?
I'm looking at the play again, and that's a fumble. Oh boy, that's just a terrible call. I
think Patrick Mahomes just got superstar treatment.
Yeah, he did.
He was kind of held up, and I assume.
Listen, the New England Patriots have gotten a million calls in their day, so you know what? It is what it is.
Yeah.
So that's the way.
I'm very surprised that. I mean, I guess I shouldn't be surprised that Bill Belichick has a genius defensive game plan put together, but you can have all the game plans you want. Patrick Mahomes is he's the best player in the league by my count. So
that offense is a ticking time bomb.
To have them at 6 points, 2 field goals, approaching halftime is a job well done. Now,
you know what? They could score 4 or 5 touchdowns in the second half.
Yeah, just ask the Houston Texans.
Yeah. I mean, that's how good that team is.
Speaking of the Houston Texans, Brad, we had our first coaching casualty earlier this afternoon.
And well deserved, I may add.
Well, I don't think anybody has deserved to get fired in the American workforce history more than Bill O'Brien deserved to get fired as the Houston Texans head coach.
Well, if you want to review all the stupid trades they've made, because I was looking that up and I counted 11 ridiculously stupid trades that they made, and you could start with the one this year, the Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah, you trade the best receiver in the league.
I mean,
you don't even get a first-round pick back. You get really an average running back. All due respect to David Johnson, he had one break.
It's just he's back. He's too injured. He's not. He's banged up. He's not. He's not what he used to be. Any quarterback.
0-4. Deshaun Watson, who they've signed, which is good. He's a good quarterback. He has no help. They dropped.
It's a shame for him because you know what he is a tremendous quarterback, but I mean, there's really he has nobody to throw the ball to. They went and I don't understand why they would trade DeAndre Hopkins. It's almost as dumb as the Giants trading Odell Beckham. I mean, okay, so what? So there's a child in the locker room. Big deal.
But they have their first 3 draft picks in this upcoming draft. They don't have a first or second round pick in this upcoming draft.
How does that happen with all
Well, they traded for Laramie Tunzel, who's a good player.
Oh
I
forgot about him. Yeah, that's another stupid trade that they made.
They gave up too much. They gave up too much, and then they paid him as the highest paid left tackle in the league, which is fair because he's a really good player. But your cap shot, so you can't keep Hopkins, and now you have no draft picks to help your franchise quarterback.
I mean, it's unbelievable. So the team that really and Joseph Harkovsky mentioned, and it's true. The Miami Dolphins are going to have their picks, and boy, I'll tell you what, they must be foaming at the mouth, taking a look at how bad Houston is right now.
The Miami Dolphins aren't good. The Miami Dolphins, they might have the first 2 picks in the whole draft.
Yeah, I think the Jets and Giants might have that wrapped up, Rob.
Okay, but I think is it fair to say that the Miami Dolphins are probably going to have 2 picks in the top 10?
Oh yeah, oh they will definitely have 2 picks in the top 10.
That's how you change
Oh yeah, that's how you become a good team.
If you draft okay, solid starters at those 2 picks, you're immediately in playoff contention, especially with 7 teams in the mix for the playoffs now.
Absolutely, and we don't know how many games are going to be played this year either. Who knows? With the pandemic and everything, we don't know if they may end up skipping some weeks.
Yeah, they're not canceling shit.
Yeah, you just don't know though. I mean, they're luckily this thing with the Patriots and Chiefs, the game didn't get the game got postponed yesterday, but I mean they could have easily canceled it.
They could have. Let's get to some comments here. Get to the family. Joseph Orkovsky, sweating on Monday Night Football, up 46 points, but my opponent has Tyreek Hill, Hayden Hurst, and James White. I'm not sure James White is even active, so I would rest easy. I haven't seen him once, and obviously his parents were involved in a car accident. His father died. His mom's in critical condition. Obviously, football is secondary to him, but I don't think that he's active tonight, Joe, so I would I'd rest easy on that one. I think
Tyreek Hill might get 20 points, but I mean, if you're up 42, you're okay.
Bill Belichick, every time they play the Chiefs, he goes out of his way to make sure Tyreek Hill doesn't beat them. And obviously, they only have 6 points, 2 field goals at halftime. So, Joe, I think you're looking pretty good. Hayden Hurst might be the highest scorer on that list in terms of tonight, but I think there's going to be some points scored in that Atlanta Green Bay game later on tonight.
Yeah, I would think so. And
then Victoria Taylor talking smack. She earned the right to talk smack. She whooped my ass in fantasy football. I think it was 170. I think my team scored 60 points. It was terrible.
Oh, you had a very bad game then.
Yeah, I had a terrible week. I can't figure this fantasy football thing out. we host the show every week. We talk ad nauseum about sports. I consume my life with sports, but I can never figure out these fantasy leagues.
Football's tough because guys get hurt. I mean, that's what makes fantasy football so tough. Guys get hurt, and you don't really know when they're banged up during the week in practice. And there's so many injuries. I think baseball is a little easier, but you get injuries there too. But football, everybody gets banged up. I mean, it's tough.
And I will argue with anyone until I am blue in the face that want to tell me that fantasy baseball isn't better than fantasy football. I love fantasy baseball.
Oh, I do too, because if you have a bad start, you can always come back because you have the whole.
It's easier to trade. It's every day.
Yep.
Every year there's waiver wire guys that turn in to give you a first-round pick return.
A couple of years ago, I took Gleyber Torres, and he after the draft.
Yeah.
And you picked up Justin Smoke a couple of years ago, and he had a career year.
It's true. Fantasy baseball is a lot of fun. I like it so much better than fantasy.
I remember I picked up Justin Bohr, and he had like 2 incredible months, and then he got hurt. But I mean, that's the beauty of fantasy baseball is that you can get these guys and catch lightning in a bottle. Football generally doesn't happen. Usually, you get a guy and you just pray that they don't get hurt. I mean, if you took Saquon Barkley in the first round of your draft,
you're beat. You're done.
And that could happen to any running back. And you got to have good running backs to win.
Chrome checks in. Michael Wesley Chromiak. Check out Chrome tomorrow. Birds of a Feather. Chrome also hosts Lazy Booking. Lazy Booking. I'm sorry. We have 2 wrestling shows. Chrome is on Lazy Booking. That's on Thursdays. We looked into Doc. Usually our luck is we sign someone like Lou. Then Doc becomes available 45 minutes after the ink dries on the contract. Yeah. Well, as we've heard this week, bad things happen in Philly. But good things happened in Philly in terms of the Philadelphia 76ers coaching search. I think Doc Rivers is a total home run. It's just a terrific.
I think you got yourself a very good coach. You guys did okay. So,
well, Brad, he's going to be a dome.
He'll figure it out. He'll figure out. Yeah, maybe they will trade Ben. Who knows? I mean, that's always a possibility.
I don't think so. They had his press conference today. They officially introduced him, and he's excited about coaching Tobias again. He's excited about coaching Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons. So I don't think anyone.
Maybe Tobias, having him back will give him a little extra, give him a little extra zest out there.
Well, that's what we need because nobody is trading for Tobias Harris's contract. So he's going to Philadelphia.
No, that's for sure. That's for sure.
Jordan Mailata allowed 0 sacks, 0 QB hits, 1 QB hurry, and had a 75.2 block rate. We really might have something with him as we get the dub versus the Niners. They need Jordan Mailata to step up. They need someone to secure that left tackle position. They need someone to protect Carson Wentz's blind side. I saw good things from Jordan Mailata last night. He played well. So hopefully you can keep it up as we play 2 really good teams in the next 2 weeks in the Ravens and the Steelers. Risky prod. If the Raiders were fully healthy, they would have been 4-0. Yeah, and if a frog had wings, he wouldn't bump his ass. If my aunt had balls, she'd be my uncle. Injuries happen. The Raiders are 1-3 or 2-2, whatever they are, and that's the way it goes. Sorry.
Absolutely. I mean, if the Giants had Saquon Barkley yesterday, they might have beat the Rams yesterday. So
but they didn't.
But they didn't have Saquon Barkley, and they didn't beat the Rams. That's it. I mean, football. That's how football is. Football is a game of attrition, and whoever stays healthy is usually going to win.
And boy, I mean, I don't know how the Raiders are going to finish in terms of win-loss records, but I don't think they're awful. I think they're on the right track there. But there's a couple quarterbacks at the top of the draft. Trevor Lawrence obviously would be another one. There's a kid out of North Dakota State named Trey Lance who's going to be a top 10 pick, it looks like. Justin Fields out of Ohio State's a great dual threat guy. The Raiders got to move on from Derek Carr. I think he stinks.
I don't necessarily think he's the total problem in Oakland, though.
They're just young and not good enough yet.
They're getting there, though.
Franchise quarterback. They are getting there.
They're getting there. I mean, they're definitely better than they've been in the past.
That was one of my few losing bets yesterday, Brad. I had the Raiders +3. Thought
you can't. Did you play the Eagles?
I did, money line and spread.
Oh, so you got the 3. So you got the 3-1. Nice.
Correct. Yes.
Nice.
Yeah. Sunday night was a big night. And I also had Carson Wentz scoring the first touchdown at 50-1 odds. So that was a nice $250 on a $5 bet.
Oh, okay.
I had a big Sunday. I had the Heat outright as well. So I did well yesterday.
I was gonna say you had some pep in your step today.
Yes, it was great. And I was off today.
And do you know what today is?
What's today?
Today is the evening before the New York Rangers become a team with a superstar young player.
Lafreniere. Yes, the NHL draft is tomorrow.
Tomorrow is the NHL draft, and it should be very, very interesting. And by the way, I did a little research this weekend about NHL farm systems, and they were ranked, and the Philadelphia Flyers are ranked number 7 in the NHL.
They're loaded
with their farm system. And that does not count all the guys who have graduated and are playing on the team. So if you are a Flyer fan, you ought to be mighty, mighty excited about that team, because I'll tell you what, they're already pretty good. And when you have that kind of depth in your farm system, that means you've got some young studs just waiting to come up here. So, and I've heard a lot of stuff about Morgan Frost. They're really expecting him to be a big-time player.
He'd be the only one I would keep. I would hold Morgan Frost. Everyone else trade him for established guys. Because Brad, I don't know if you caught.
You can't really do that now. Not with the flat cap. You got to make sure that you give your young players, if they're good enough to play in the NHL, you got to give them a shot.
I hear you. I want to win. I want to win. I want to get a step.
Yeah, no, I agree. Listen, if you guys can figure out a way to get Line from Winnipeg, that would certainly help. He is definitely available, from what I understand. So that's gonna be a mighty interesting. It's gonna be an interesting offseason. The Sabres are not trading Jack Eichel, by the way.
And little Flyers news here this afternoon: Matt Niskanen announced his retirement. So he had a pretty good season, pretty good playoff run for this team on the blue line. So that's going to be something they need to address as well.
He definitely gave them leadership, and I'll tell you what, just the fact that they could find an excuse to get rid of Gudas has to be good, because you know what, he was terrible, and he made over $5 million. So you got rid of a big cap hit, and Niskanen retires, so you get a little cap relief there. So I mean, there are some players that can definitely help in free agency this year. You may not have to spend a lot of money to get the certain player that you may or may not want.
Chrome checks back in. I'm sorry, Matthew Spills checks in. Agree to the poll. Prove this in the pudding. Every other division has at least 7 wins. The NFC East has 3. Chrome checks in and he agrees to the poll. This division is an absolute disgrace. Joseph Horowski, Yankees squashed my dreams of Cesar Hernandez getting the game-winning hit in Game 7 of the World Series. Yes. The Yankees also squandered a futures bet I had on the Cleveland Indians. I placed at the beginning of the year for the Cleveland Indians to win the World Series. I still have a live futures bet on the Padres. So we're holding out hope there, but I'm not optimistic. It doesn't look like Dinelson Lamet is going to be able to pitch against the Dodgers. It's still very much up in the air if Clevenger is going to be able to pitch against the Dodgers. I think the Dodgers are just too good. But I'm rooting for.
Well, you know what? The one thing the Padres can do is they can hit the ball.
They can.
They can hit the ball, and they've got a very good bullpen. And the Yankees have an early threat against Blake Snell, who they've always, by the way, done well against. So they have LeMahieu is on third with 1 out, and Hicks is up. So we'll see about that. We'll see about that in a short while if the Yankees can.
The football game is at halftime here, Brad. I don't know what the Patriots are thinking here. They had the ball in the red zone with 6 seconds left. They're trying to score a touchdown, which okay, but you have your backup quarterback in. Brian Hoyer takes an inexplicable sack. The clock runs out. They get no points, and they go into halftime.
Is it still 6-3?
Yeah, it should have been 6-6. You just kicked
They
them.
didn't take the field goal?
No, they tried to get a touchdown with a backup quarterback. They took a sack, and the clock ran out.
Does Bill know that Brady isn't there anymore? I'm just wondering if maybe he forgot.
I mean, that's Josh McDaniels. He's in control of that offense. But, I mean,
I know.
that could be a huge momentum shift in this game because I don't know if you caught the highlights of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Los Angeles Chargers yesterday. But, right before the half.
I watched a little bit of that game, and I'll tell you what. The Los Angeles Chargers gave away that football game when Justin Herbert messed up the handoff to
right before the half.
Yeah, I mean that was unbelievable, and then they get a gift touchdown, and that basically
can't give Brady a chance like that.
No, it was 24-7, and really and what's worse is that they really weren't trying to score; they just wanted to run out the clock. And then they make a mistake like that. That's just unbelievable. I will say this though about Justin Herbert. He looks like he's going to be good.
Justin Herbert's a very good player. I was sold on Justin Herbert as an NFL prospect when he won MVP of the Senior Bowl. I put a lot of stock into the Senior Bowl and those shrine games, the All-Star games, and how the draft picks perform against their fellow peers that are going to be in the draft pick. And Justin Herbert shredded the Senior Bowl. And ever since then, I thought he had the potential to be a franchise quarterback in the NFL.
By the way, I have an update for you. Aaron Hicks got the sacrifice fly. So after a half an inning, the Yankees are on the board against Blake Snell. And we'll see what happens from here.
I did not bet the individual game tonight, but I did take the Yankees to win the series.
Yeah, I think the Yankees are starting to hit the ball again, and if they hit the ball, I don't think Tampa Bay's bats can match. I know Tampa Bay has better pitching, but you know what? The Yankees have seen their pitchers enough to know what they throw, and hopefully they can score enough runs and win this series.
Greg Milakovic agrees to the poll. The NFC East should not get a participant in the playoffs. I agree with that because one of the seven best teams theoretically should be in the playoffs in the NFC. And I can't make a logical, coherent case that anyone in the NFC East is in the top 7 of the conference right now.
Listen, the season is early though. I mean, we're only what 4 weeks into the season right now. I mean, if the Eagles run off 4 or 5 in a row, when they're like 4 or 5, like 5-2-1, does anybody even remember this horrible start? No. So they're a crazy enough team that they could actually do that because it just seems, they play better. They play better when their backs are to the wall. It seems like it's a team that just can't stand prosperity.
Well, I'll tell you what, if they do rattle off 4 or 5 in a row, a lot of Eagles fans are going to be eating crow because a lot of Eagles fans have already jumped off the Walt Whitman Bridge in terms of this season. You got to relax, folks. You got to relax.
Yeah, it's not a sprint. It is a marathon. 16 football games is a lot of football games. And if you consider the fact that nobody's 4-0 in our division, as a matter of fact, I think half the division will be lucky to win 4 games for the whole season. And we Giant and Redskin fans know what we're talking about right now.
Like, I said it after the tie, Brad, against the Bengals, and I understand why everyone's mad because you tie. It's like kissing your sister. It's the ass-out hug you give your distant aunt that you never see at Christmas.
Well, I think they're more angry that it was the Bengals, that they blew it. They blew a victory against a team like the Bengals. I mean, if it was a top team of the league, I mean, if they got a tie against Seattle, I don't think anybody would be complaining, but it's the Bengals, and you expect to beat that team, especially at home.
Don't you understand, Brad? Don't you understand what I tried to explain to the people is that they were fortunate to get a tie in that game.
If it wasn't for Wentz carrying the team on his back on that last drive with 2 minutes to go, I mean, they never would have gotten the tie.
I urge the fans to take a deep breath and relax after the tie. A tie is better than a loss. You get a big win out west over San Francisco. Now, if they are able to rattle off some games here and get themselves back in the wild card mix, you now own the tiebreaker over the Niners, which could loom large. Now you play Pittsburgh, you play Baltimore. You got 5 games left against the stinky division. I saw a path to 9 wins after the Bengals tie. I still see a path to 9 wins. 9-6-1 wins this division. It does. You get to 9.
It wins easily, I would think.
Dallas has a lot of problems. The Eagles have by far the least amount of problems out of any team in this division. And I would consider them strong favorites to represent the NFC East in the playoffs. I really do.
Well, it's possible. I think if they go 9-6-1, I think they win the division. I think you're absolutely right about that.
I got the Saints on the schedule. I'm not scared of the Saints. Drew Brees looks old. The Packers aren't perfect. You have the Steelers. You have the Ravens. I think the Browns could be a tough game as well. Arizona's come back to earth. They lose again yesterday to the Carolina Panthers.
Terrible loss for Arizona. That should never happen. They should not be losing to a team like the Panthers.
And then you have the Seattle on the schedule, which is going to be an uphill climb because Russell Wilson has never lost to the Philadelphia Eagles. So relax, folks.
And he's in the zone this year.
There's no reason to jump off the Washington Bridge in September, early October. There's not. This division stinks. The Eagles are the least flawed team in the division. They're going to win the division. They have the best coach in the division. They have the best quarterback in the division. They have the best defense in the division. It's a recipe for success. Are they a good team? Are they going to win the Super Bowl like they did in 2017? No. I'd be shocked if they won a playoff game. But playoffs is always better than no playoffs.
Oh,
the NFL.
Listen, Rob, you make the parade. Excuse me, you make the tournament, and there could be a parade. You never know.
The Giants went 9-7. They won the Super Bowl.
It can happen. I don't think the Giants are the only 9-7 team that's won a Super Bowl. I would think that there might be other teams that have won the Super Bowl at 9-7. I just can't think of any off the top of my head.
The only thing I would say in criticism of the Philadelphia Eagles last night is you got to give Miles Sanders the ball more. I've defended Doug's balance to now, but, I mean, you can't have Corey Clement and Adrian Killens in the fourth quarter getting key touches. You just can't. You have I think he's still running back in Miles.
He's still resting him. I mean, I think he's just trying to handle his workload right now.
Okay, but the time to manage his workload is not in crunch time in the fourth quarter.
I would agree with you about that. But again, I think he is trying to manage his workload. I think there's no question.
I think he had 9 carries last night. That's nowhere near enough.
Well, part of the problem with Miles Sanders is he's not a very good receiver.
That's not true at all.
Well, he has how many home runs? The Rays just hit a home run, by the way, to tie up the game. Randy, who the hell is that? Randy Arizona? I never heard of the guy. Anyway, the Eagles, I think, are the most balanced team in the NFC East. So I think that's why they will win the division. But our division is just it's bad.
Greg Malaka, he's filling us in on the AL bubble is California, LA, and San Diego, and the NL is in Arlington and Houston. So there you go. That's where
Okay.
We have ownership problems here in Philly. I'm assuming that refers to the Philadelphia Phillies, which I agree with. Matty Spills, screw that. Middleton doesn't get a pass for not spending to keep JT. You don't let the best catcher and walk, period. F his money. He's a billionaire. Yeah, and let's get into that because John Middleton, he seems to be balking at re-signing JT Realmuto because he doesn't know how much revenue is going to be generated by ticket sales and the walk-up game, which is total baloney, Brad, because the Philadelphia Phillies are a top 5 market. They should be over the luxury tax when they're trying to win. which is what they should be in win now mode right now. You have Wheeler, you have Nola, you have Harper. Rhys Hoskins should be back by opening day. He had Tommy John surgery today on his non-throwing hand. You have Segura, you have McCutchen. There's a lot of pieces here in Philly. And for you to balk at not giving JT Realmuto a big-time contract because you don't know how much revenue you're going to generate from ticket sales and concessions and whatnot, that's total baloney. That's total baloney.
How much money do you think Realmuto wants?
I would assume he would want to be the highest paid catcher in the league.
And how much money is that going to cost? That's the
question. I would guess, JT Realmuto's agents would probably want a 6 or 7 year deal worth.
Yeah, I wouldn't give him the 7. I wouldn't give a catcher.
No, that's what he's going to ask for, and then you meet in the middle, and I don't know, 20 a year for JT Realmuto, 18 a year.
18 a year is pretty. I mean, if he took 18 a year, I think that's reasonable. I mean, if you start 20 million for a catcher, I don't know about that. I mean, I think that might be. I mean, he is the best catcher in the league. I'll give you that. But it's not like the guy is a 320 hitter. He's not Mike Piazza offensively, and he's not like that. He's a good hitter, but he's not. His
defense is far superior to Mike Piazza.
Yeah, but I mean, look, I don't want to get into who's a better. I mean, I would take Piazza all day long because of his bat. But
yeah, I agree.
You talk about like Molina, Molina. Is he as good as Molina was in his prime? I don't know about that, and I don't know if he was as good as what's his name, the guy in San Francisco either.
Posey? No, Posey was terrific.
Yeah, so I mean, Matt Spill. I don't know about $20 million a year for a catcher. I just wouldn't do. Listen, if
Brad, you can move him to first base. You can move him to first base, especially if you're going to have a DH in the National League going forward. Which I would be surprised if they took that away.
You're going to move, but you're going to. Is he a good enough hitter to put at first base? I'm just asking. I'm not. I mean, you guys saw more than I did. I'm
good enough, but if you got to save his legs a little bit, a couple times a week, you can DH him or put him at first.
Well, yeah, you could you can DH him. Yeah, you can DH him. I'm just saying. I don't know if. I mean, it depends how much his. I don't know what his budget's going to be. Is he going to re-sign Didi Gregorius also? I mean,
I would re-sign Didi Gregorius.
I would too if I were them. I mean, 3 years. 3 years at for Didi, I would think 3 years, $54 million. 3 years, $55 million. I think would get it done. I don't think that's an unreasonable.
He was awesome. I'd re-sign both of them.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that they cannot afford to re-sign him. I have money.
But you're boxed in. You're boxed into re-signing JT Realmuto because Sixto Sanchez looks like he's going to be a stud.
Well, yeah, that's the problem, and I think I think that Middleton saw Sanchez pitching, and I think that's what set him off as far as why Clentak is no longer your GM. Because they traded an arm to trade an arm like that. I'm sorry, for a catcher. I know Realmuto.
Have to commit the money to JT. After doesn't that even make it more imperative to commit to JT?
I would think so, because then you really look stupid if you don't. If you don't re-sign JT after giving up a guy like Sanchez, then it looks like a really bad trade. Then it looks like you've completely messed it up.
And then, not for nothing, but I was looking at the free agents. Like, there's no big time players out there to sign. Starling, I mean, he's okay.
Trevor Bauer.
I'm talking about. Well, you gotta replace not only JT's fielding ability, but his bat in the lineup. I mean, he's your cleanup hitter, Brad.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I'm just.
Are the Houston Astros really going to let a premier player like George Springer hit the open market? I'd be surprised if that happened.
I mean, they have to start paying some of these guys now. I don't know if they can keep all of them. I mean, they've already paid Altuve, and they've already paid They've already
Right.
paid Correa. So I mean, how many guys can you pay?
You can't not pay Bregman. He's a stud.
That's what I'm saying. Somebody's got to go. I mean, I could see Springer being gone.
Well, I'll tell you what. If George Springer hits the open market, and I lose JT Realmuto, I'm using the JT Realmuto money to sign George Springer.
See, I would if you're asking me who I would rather have Springer because he's an outstanding offensive player and he's a good defensive player, but he's a better offensive player than Realmuto.
And he hits leadoff, which the Phillies haven't had since Jimmy Rollins.
Then he brings some speed. He brings another element to your team. I mean, I think he's a real good player, and he knows how to win. He's got a ring.
Yeah, and he might get it. Who knows how this playoffs is going to pan out? He might get another one here.
He might. I mean, you never know. I mean, listen, the Astros have certainly turned it on. The pitching's been pretty good in the playoffs. I mean, it wasn't great today. Oakland can hit the ball, but the Astros bats came alive. I mean, they're playing some very good baseball so far in the playoffs. They're 3-0.
You better have a big-time contingency plan if you're not going to pay $18.5 million to JT Realmuto or $20 million or whatever it's going to take. You better have the help.
If you're going to get Springer, it's going to cost you between 20 and 25 a year, and you're going to probably pay have to do about 6 years. I'm guessing. I mean, 6 years, 150 for Realmuto is not Realmuto for
and not going over the luxury tax is unacceptable as well.
No, not when he's the owner of. Isn't he the owner of Cablevision or something like that? Not Cablevision.
He has a cigar company. Who knows how the heck he made his billions of dollars?
I mean, but I think he's got. Isn't he like the president of Comcast or something crazy like that? Or I don't know.
I don't have his resume. I don't have his resume handy.
Yeah, they have. I mean, the Phillies have plenty of money. I mean,
they do have plenty of money, which is why that when you make that trade, saying that you want to win now, you also have to commit to paying JT Realmuto.
You traded Sixto Sanchez, but I mean, here's the thing, and I would also say this: Trevor Bauer is going to be a free agent. I know my Yankees. I would want them signing him.
Well, he was on Instagram.
He would be a top priority if he's available.
He was on Instagram or Twitter. It sounds like he might want to be in Boston.
Never know.
Yeah. So I don't know what's going to.
I mean, I'll tell you what. He's a guy that could pitch anywhere and be a major star.
So, who do you think? Would you rather pay Trevor Bauer if you're the Phillies, or would you rather pay JT Realmuto?
Oh, I'd rather pay Trevor Bauer. Give me the pitcher. Are you kidding? You put Bauer on top of Bauer, Wheeler, and Nola as your 1, 2, and 3. Whew.
I also think that Tyler Glass now is going to get traded in the offseason. Because the Rays are going
to. I don't know how they're going to pay him. That's true. That's true because he's
a guy you can bring in as well. Look, I don't think the Phillies are that. They're a few logical moves away from being a playoff team, even without the expanded playoffs. I really do believe that. I really do believe that. You don't have problems with runs.
Yeah, you've got to straighten out.
You got to get a bullpen.
That bullpen you've got to do something about that bullpen.
Brad Hand is going to be a free agent. I don't think Cleveland's going to re-sign him. Jeremy Jeffers, the Chicago Cubs closer.
Brad Hand, I would think that he might end up in Fenway Park because I think the Red Sox next year are going to start spending some money again.
Well, that's their performance this year in the shortened season. That's not going to fly in Boston.
No.
They got to do something.
I would agree.
Especially
with all the money they got committed, though. With all the money they got committed to guys, I just don't know with them. Who knows?
The last big thing they did was trade Mookie Betts.
Yeah, but their payroll is still real high right now. So
I get it.
It's going to be hard to figure what exactly that team's going to do.
Boy, the Patriots, they are giving Patrick Mahomes fits tonight. I'm laying 10.5 with the Chiefs, and I don't know if I'm going to win. I don't know if I'm going to win that one. But the Phillies, Jeremy Jeffers, Blake Trinian, he's going to be a free agent. He pitches for the Dodgers, and then you can explore trades as well. So, like, the first thing you got to do is you got to find a GM. You need a baseball guy, not an analytics guy, to be your GM. Then you got to make a few solid, logical moves, get some bullpen arms in here. Make sure you can maintain your offensive output if you lose JT Realmuto. Figure out catcher if you use JT Realmuto. I don't think the Braves are some unreachable star, can't be reached with a good offseason. And let's be real, if the Marlins had to play 162 games this year, Brad, they're not in the NLDS. Like, come on.
No, I would agree. I would agree that eventually they would, they would be worn out and not last the whole season. But you know what? It's a 60-game season this year, so a lot of teams that may or may not have been able to make it are in. So you never know. I mean, there's nothing to say. There's nothing to say that if it was a regular season that that the Yankees would have made it either. The way the Yankees were playing. I mean, the Yankees looked like a dead carcass the last week of the season. And then the bats woke up against Cleveland, and now we're optimistic again. But we'll see. I mean,
baseball, the cream always rises, Brad. The Yankees just have.
But the cream rises usually with 162 games. After 60 games, you can have some fluky things happen.
Yeah, but I hear you. But when the chips are down, the most talented teams are going to win.
Generally, yes. I would agree with you on that.
Which I know it was 60 games, but
now, is Chris Bryant a free agent?
Chris Bryant is not a free agent. He would have to be traded for.
Okay, so he's not a free agent yet.
I don't want any parts of Chris Bryant.
Yeah, for some reason the Cubs, with Baez, Bryant, and Rizzo, and who else? I mean, they just haven't hit, especially in the playoffs. It's amazing.
Chris Bryant can't hit at all.
I mean, they just don't hit.
Chris Bryant, I mean, he almost won MVP before, and he went nearly a month without hitting a home run this season. I don't know what the deal is with him, but I'm not trading prospects for Chris Bryant, because once you trade Chris Bryant, it's like JT Realmuto. You trade.
You could get him on the cheap, though. That's the whole thing at this point.
But you got to pay him.
Well, it depends on how much. It depends on what you give up, though.
I hear you. I don't know. I'm not taking a chance on Chris Bryant. Sorry. He's just off a cliff. I mean, I don't. It's a shame because he's still young. He can play first base. He can play third base. He can play left field. He can play center field. He can pretty much play any position besides shortstop. So, that makes him attractive to me. But I mean, these prolonged slumps, and it's not good. I'm out on Chris Bryant.
Well, I think you definitely have to sign Didi. I think he should be a priority. With your ball.
Wants to know your prediction for the Yankees and the Rays series.
I think it goes 5 as well. I think the Yankees win in 5.
Win in 5. Remember, this is a best of 5 series, so that's going the distance.
Yeah, I think so. But I think that the urgency for the Yankees is to win tonight. And Gio Urshela just made a play that
it was unbelievable.
He made wow. Now that just you'd have to see it to believe what he just did.
What a find that guy was.
I mean, who in their right mind could have expected Gio Urshela to be this good? I mean, from the seat of his pants, on the short, basically playing at shortstop, he makes a perfect throw to first base. I mean, that's unbelievable. He's a tremendous player. He is.
Joseph Harrod, let's get back to some comments here. Oh, let's run through the obviously the Astros won today. They're playing the A's. Do you think the Astros hold on? Do you think the A's come back?
You know what? I like the A's in 5. But that's one of those series. Oakland has never really proven anything in the playoffs, and I keep thinking the Astros how are they doing it? How are they going to do it with no pitching? But if the
I
A's
think they're going to do it.
if the A's pitching staff continues to struggle against Houston the way they did today, it's going to be a problem.
Well, the bullpen was horrible today for Oakland.
Yeah, but Oakland's made their living this year with that bullpen.
I understand, but they weren't. Not today. They didn't.
No, and you know what? It's a bad sign for Oakland if their bullpen's getting smacked around.
I think Houston wins this series. I think we're setting up for a rematch, Yankees Astros ALCS, and I think the Yankees put it on them. I think they get their revenge.
We'll see.
And then the NL, I can't see the Marlins beating the Braves. I think the Braves are just too good.
Yeah, I agree. I think the Braves find ways to win those type of close games too.
And then Dodgers, Padres. I'm rooting for the Padres, but I don't see how the Dodgers lose. They're so good.
They are, but you know what? As they always say, that's why they play the game.
Let's get back to some comments here. Joseph Farowski still don't see the Cowboys being any worse than 5-1 in the division, and if they beat Cincy, that puts them at 7 or 8 wins already. I don't think 5-1 is guaranteed for the Dallas Cowboys in the division.
Guaranteeing 5-1.
He says that's what Joseph Farowski said. I still don't see.
I think they might slip up against the Giants, or I can see them slipping up against the Giants or the Redskins.
They're not a Glock next week against the Giants.
No, I don't think Dallas is a lot.
Everyone in the NFL, if you're playing defense like the Dallas Cowboys are playing.
No, and I'll tell you what, we'll see about how the Giants play defense next week. But you know what? I think that last week was a very good sign for that young defense. The way they played last week, I thought they played this past Sunday. I thought the defense was outstanding. And you know what? If the offense is not going to be playing against the Rams defense this week, they're going to be playing against the Cowboys defense this week. I would think, the Giants haven't scored a touchdown in 2 games. I think the offense starts getting things moving this week. But I just don't know if the Giants are capable of beating anybody this year, though. That's the problem. I just don't know. They have to show me something. So
Matthew,
worse, the Giants or the Jets?
I'm sorry, what?
Who do you think is worse this year, the Giants or the Jets? Because that's a tough. I think the Jets are actually worse right now.
I agree.
I think the Giants,
because I think Sam Darnold's a pretty good player.
He is, but the rest of it, but their defense this year, they look like they're not even trying. It's almost like when they traded Jamal Adams, it's like they all banged their heads against the wall and just said, "Screw this, we're not going to play." That game against Denver last Thursday, it's like Denver hasn't been able to score all season, and they went through the Jets like a knife through butter.
Greg Milwaukee, he says the Jets. And, when Brett Rippon is lighting you up for 38 points, you got big problems.
Yeah, at least the Giants were – they had a respectable game this past week. They almost won in Chicago, too. And you know what? Chicago's a pretty good team, too. They had an awful game against the 49ers, and they made too many mistakes against the Steelers. But the two games that they almost won, I thought they played pretty well. They could be 2-2 this year.
Matthew Spills, are we good with Ertz? 4 catches for 9 yards. Can't get separation from linebackers or break a tackle to save his life. Let's pay him. Look, he's the only receiving threat, especially with Goddard out.
Rodney Rogers actually, I thought, played pretty well last night.
He did okay, but teams are not going to let Zach Ertz beat him.
No, they're all going to be keying on Ertz. I thought Rodney Rogers, when they threw the ball to him, which they didn't do a heck of a lot, it seemed like there was one part in the game where they were throwing him the ball, and it just seemed like he was very effective. I always liked him when he was with Green Bay. I think the guy's a pretty good player.
But for Zach Ertz to step up and be able to give you the stats that we're accustomed to Zach Ertz seeing, you're going to need outside receivers to step up and take the pressure off of them. You need Jalen Reagor to come back. You need Deshaun to come back. You need Greg Ward to continue to play good. Maybe this guy Fulgham, who caught the game-winning touchdown last night. Maybe he can step up. Hightower. Someone's got to step up from an outside receiver standpoint.
They absolutely do. I mean, that's something that has to happen. By the way, I have something to report. Yes, I do. Clint Frazier just knocked the ball into next week, and the Yankees take a 2-2.
That's a bomb. 2-1.
In the upper deck in Petco.
But yeah, Zach Ertz, they need outside receivers to step up for Zach Ertz to get some room to operate underneath. Because that's Carson's boy. Carson's going to hit him up if he's open. But, I mean, if he's double and triple covered, Ertz isn't going to get the stats. I know that might be heartbreaking for your fantasy football team. It's heartbreaking to my fantasy football teams, that's for sure, but that's just the way it is. You need outside receivers to step up to take the pressure off Ertz.
They also need to take the bubble wrap off of Sanders, as you were saying. I think that has to happen. You'd like to see him. You'd like to see him get a little bit more action.
2-2. I don't expect them to stop Dallas offense. Jim Schwartz stinks. I mean, the Eagles have a top 10 defense right now. So I know
you're going to stop the Cowboys offense either. But you know what? I don't think the Cowboys are going to stop the Eagles as well. And I think the one thing the Eagles can do is get to the quarterback. And they'll get to the quarterback a few times, and they'll force Dak to make some mistakes. As far as the Cowboys getting to Carson, I mean, other than Aldon Smith, who on that defense has done anything for them this year?
No one, nothing.
I mean, he's been the whole team this year defensively, and they were very fortunate to sign him.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody expected him to be this good.
Joseph Orosky, James White is not yet. James White, he has had a couple catches I've noticed in the background, so he is active. He has 9 points, so I guess that doesn't. But Tyreek Hill's doing nothing, so I think you're looking good. Joseph, he wonders if the Bills and the Titans will even play next week. I mean, we'll see. Mario Cerrito thinks the Eagles are going to the NFC Championship game. Let's chill out on that. I mean, they won one. They're 1-2-1. Let's relax.
Championship game. Yeah, they have a lot to prove before I start endorsing them to go to that game. Listen, we have to be fair. That was a good win yesterday, but remember the 49ers were playing with their backup quarterback, and I know Jimmy G is not exactly going to be confused with Dan Marino, but he's a heck of a lot better than those two guys last night. Mullins and Beathard are not as good as Jimmy G, and the team plays confidently, obviously, with him as quarterback. So, you can take that for what it's worth, guys, and I hear you, but I do think Jimmy G that was a big difference last night. You can't say it wasn't.
Eagles have the least amount of problems. I don't know about that. 4th-string left tackle, 2nd-string right tackle, 3rd-string right guard, 2nd-string left guard, worst linebacker core in football, and top 4 wide receivers are all injured. In terms of the NFC East, yes, I do think they have the least amount of problems out of the 4 teams in the NFC East. That's why I put them as the favorites in the NFC East. They have the best quarterback in the division. They have the best coach in the division. They have the best defense in the division. And I understand they're banged up on the offensive line. I understand that their linebackers aren't good. And, I understand that their
linebackers played pretty well last night, though, quite honestly, Rob.
I mean, I'd like to see him play a little better. But, whatever. Maybe I'm being hard on my guy.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they were that bad last night. I think they did a pretty nice job, quite honestly. Listen, the 49ers like to throw the short pass, and you know what? They didn't let anybody get past them. They were able to keep the yards after the catches down, and that's really all you can ask for that group of linebackers. I mean, they're not game breakers. They're not gonna win a game for you, but as long as they're not losing games for you and keeping you in the game and just being good tacklers, that's really all you can ask for right now out of that group. And they did that yesterday.
Right. And, hopefully they can get more. Hopefully they can get Alshon Jeffrey back, Deshaun Jackson back, Jalen Reagor back. I mean, those are 3 established. I know Rager's not established like the other one, but Jackson has a skill set and Jeffrey has a skill set. Rager looked good in the time he played. So if they can get those three guys back eventually.
I think you're going to get Jeffrey back. I think you'll get Jeffrey back. I think it'll probably be like week 6, but you're going to get Jeffrey back. Deshaun, I don't know, Rob. It just seems to me like he just is always getting hurt now. I mean, he's older. He can still run, but it just seems like he's always getting hurt. He's brittle, and I don't know if he's going to be a factor anymore.
Joseph Orosky wants to know, were people saying former Yankee closer David Robinson or whatever his name is? No, he is off the book. He was paid a lot of money to come in and be a key piece in the bullpen.
Yeah, they only paid him for 2 years.
Yeah, so he is off the book. Maybe they bring him back at a lesser price because he got $9-10 million a year to come in and be a key to the bullpen, and just didn't work out because of injury. But he is off the books. The Phillies are going to have some.
I could see him coming in on a prove-it deal, a 1-year prove-it deal with somebody.
The Phillies are $76 million under the luxury tax threshold. Now, obviously, you have to sign Didi, you got to sign JT, but they have some money to play around with. They do. And they're a big market team, so the luxury tax shouldn't even be an issue here. But for whatever reason, it is.
Listen, $76 million, you guys should be able to improve your team.
Big time.
Yeah. I mean, look, the Yankees are, 97? They're going to have $97 million coming off their cap this year. So, I mean, they're going to be able to pick up some players too. I mean, there's going to be some guys they're going to have to make decisions on bringing back. If I'm them, the only guy I really worry about bringing back is LeMahieu. I mean, the rest of them, as far as I'm concerned, you can let them go. I don't think any of them. I mean, I'm not going to bring back Jay Happ, not for $17 million. That's not going to happen. I mean, Ellsbury's going. They're going to stop paying Ellsbury. Gardner has a $2 million buyout, so he's going to be gone. So that's $10 million there, and then Paxton and Tanaka. I mean, Tanaka made $23 million, and Paxton made $12.5. So that's another $35 million. Are you going to bring them back, or are you going to go out and take the money and try to get Trevor Bauer? That's going to be the question. But wherever Trevor Bauer goes, I think that's where you're going to. I think that there's going to be some team. Whoever gets him is going to be a vastly improved team.
Matthew Spills, you re-sign JT and Didi, run that shit back with a bullpen. Look, guys, like an average bullpen, above average bullpen, it's not going to break the bank. You know what I'm saying? Like these bullpen guys, they're not that expensive unless you're getting a really top end closer hitting the market, which isn't happening this year.
Oh, I think you said Hand was going to be a free agent.
Yeah, but I mean, what's he going to get, you think?
15 mil? Maybe.
Mil a year?
Maybe.
I mean, I'm out on Brad Hand at 15.
Well, I don't know. 12 million, maybe?
We'll have to see.
I mean, listen, would you give Brad Hand 3 years for $40 million? That's probably what it would cost. I mean, at least you're going to have a good closer. I mean,
depends. I mean, am I whiffing on JT? Am I whiffing on I'd put Bauer, George Springer, Starling Marte, Gregorius, Romuto as more of a priority than Brad Hand. I think I can piece together a successful bullpen that was better than what the trash I watched last year for less than 3 years.
You have to, but it starts at the back end with the closer. You got to go from the back forward. You have to get your rock in the bullpen, the closer. The guy that you can bring in to win the game for you in the ninth inning. That's the guy you've got to get first. Then you can try to get a couple of guys to be the bridge to him. But right now, last year you didn't have a bridge and you didn't have a closer. You need to have somebody back there who you can. Maybe they take a chance on Kirby Yates, Rob.
Not a bad idea. He's going to be really cheap because
he's got
injury history.
Yeah, Bob Chandler told us, if you recall, that he's probably not going to be re-signed because of his injuries. If you could bring him in maybe on a minor league deal and see if he can still pitch. Some of there's guys you can take chances on and see if they can still get the job done. That's something that they can absolutely do.
Let's talk about the Sixers.
Okay.
Brad, I like to get on the Sixers a lot. And the Sixers rarely excite me because I think that their two supposed superstars aren't really superstars yet in terms of Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons. And, I think that their process was a travesty and an embarrassment to the city of Philadelphia, an embarrassment to the sport of basketball, and an embarrassment to the National Basketball League. Terrible. But they made an adult, common sense decision bringing in Doc Rivers, and I couldn't be more excited because he's going to be an adult in the room. He's going to hold Joe and Ben accountable, and guess what? You're going to have to be a good team to advance, even win a round next year in the East. So you really have to be.
The East is loaded now.
You have Boston, who's not going anywhere. Toronto, who's not going anywhere. Miami, who's not going anywhere. The Nets.
Milwaukee isn't going anywhere.
Milwaukee is not going anywhere with Giannis.
Brooklyn is going to be a major factor next year with Durant and Kyrie coming back.
Absolutely, a major factor. So, there's 6 to 7 teams in the East that can legitimately represent the East in the final. Probably 6 teams with the Nets coming in. So right now, I would put the Sixers 6th on that hierarchy with the room to improve.
Well, look, Ben has a lot of ability. So does Joe. Okay? I think what's going to be key is that Doc Rivers will make these guys play defense, and that could ultimately be the difference. Horford, he'll get Horford to play the way he wants him to play, and hopefully for them, they'll be able to do things that they weren't doing last year, especially like win on the road. I mean, if you think about it, and just to put this in layman terms, Rob, just to tell you how bad the Sixers were on the road last year, they won as many games on the road as the Knicks did, and that can't happen. That cannot happen. No way that should happen.
And looks like the New England Patriots have benched Brian Hoyer in favor of Jared Sintum. It's the end of the third quarter there. 13-3 Chiefs.
What a job by the Patriots defense holding that team to 13 points.
Unfortunately, their backup quarterbacks just can't move the ball down the field, so I don't know. They did
if Cam were out there,
yeah,
he may have had a problem. Again, therefore the Patriots are just not fortunate that Cam is going to be out for a while. He'll probably be out for 2 to 3 weeks.
But in terms of the Sixers really need to have a good offseason. They really need to have a good offseason. I think they have the right coach in place. Brett Brown was horrible. He was terrible. He was an imbecile. He didn't hold anybody accountable. The inmates ran the asylum the last couple of years in Philadelphia. Once Joe and Ben realized that they could walk all over Brett and do whatever the hell they wanted, it was over.
Well, the problem with Brett Brown is that, they gave him a chance because he suffered through the losing. So I guess they felt like they had to give him a chance. But he's not one of the top coaches in the NBA. He just isn't. And if you have a team with some talent on it, you need to have a good coach. And one thing the Sixers really need to do is play big time defense. I mean, wasn't that the whole point of signing Al Horford?
It was.
I mean, that was the whole point, and it just didn't happen. I just don't think Brett Brown really knows how to use a good defensive strategy. Doc Rivers will make these guys play defense, and that's the difference. And defense, and you can win. You can win in the NBA by playing good defense. I know that that's more of a 70s, 80s, 90s thing with good defense winning in the NBA, but you can still win with good defense. You force turnovers and get a lot of easy baskets, and there's no reason why that team can't do that.
Another thing, Doc Rivers is going to hold these guys accountable. Yeah,
they'll be on the bench if they don't. They'll be on the bench if they don't play defense.
the days of Josh Richardson going to the media and bitching and moaning that nobody held the team accountable, those days are over. Doc Rivers is going to hold the team accountable.
Well, I'll tell you what. If he does that, he's going to be grabbing some bench. Doc won't play him.
And I also have faith that Doc Rivers won't be afraid to clunk Joe and Ben's head together when they're acting like morons.
He'll put guys on the bench. That's the thing. He's one of these coaches. He has a doghouse, and they will. And if these guys are not playing the way he wants them to play, and they start going off on their own little tangents that might hurt the team, they're not going to play. It's as simple as that.
Now you look at the offseason, the Sixers are kind of boxed in terms of the cap. You have Horford under contract. It's an impossible contract to move. I'm not buying these Buddy Hield rumors that the Kings are going to trade Buddy Hield for Al Horford in the second-round pick. Why would they do that?
They're not going to do that.
The Kings, I'm just telling you what I read on the internet, Facebook and whatnot. Look, let's look at it logically with the Buddy Hield rumor. If the Kings really want to move on from Buddy Hield, they're going to be able to get what an interception there by the Honey Badger. There is a flag on the play. We'll see what that. But if the Kings really wanted to move on from Buddy Hield, they're going to be able to get a better package than Al Horford in a second-round pick. Al Horford is terrible. He has no value right now.
Yeah, they're not going to be able to do that.
Their only hope with Al Horford is that he has a good first half of the season and someone bites on him at the trade deadline. Or maybe he works out under Doc. I don't know. But Tobias is here. Ben is paid. Joe is paid. Josh Richardson can opt out, I think, and become a free agent, which I would expect he would do. So he might be on. So you might have a little bit of money to spend. You really need Doc to get the best out of guys like Matisse Thybulle and Shake Milton. And you really have to – they have the 21st pick in the draft. They really have to nail the 21st pick in the draft. I'd be looking at point guard. I'd really be looking at point guard. It's a guard league. I think there's a number of point guards that are going to go in the first round. I think it's a very deep draft, Brad. I think your Knicks have the 8th pick.
Yeah, but I would have liked to have seen them get the 3rd pick because I really would have liked to see them get that guy Wiseman. I think that would have. I know he's not a point guard, but he would have looked good. He would have looked good in blue and orange.
There's no doubt about it. Future max player, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think he's going to be a good player. See the video on him, he looks the part.
So I'm excited. I'm excited about the Sixers and what Doc Rivers can potentially bring accountability, toughness to this organization. Accountability and toughness isn't something the Sixers have had throughout this ridiculous process that they've perpetrated on the Philadelphia fan base.
Well, they could still make. Do they still have their exception? Their $4.5 million exception?
That's not a rule anymore, I don't think.
No, I thought they still have that.
So. No, I don't think they have that anymore.
Oh, okay.
Touch Jared Sintham just marched the Patriots right down the field. N'Keal Harry with a 5-yard touchdown pass. It's 13-10. 13-10, the Chiefs lead.
Game on in Kansas City.
Yeah, this could be fun. Looks like we got a duel between Jared Sintham and Patrick Mahomes ready to ensue here in the fourth quarter.
Well, we'll see if Patrick Mahomes gets himself warmed up. Right now, the Yankees continue to lead Tampa Bay 2-1 as we go into the top of the fourth.
And did you watch the finals last night, or at least the highlights of the finals last night?
No.
Jimmy Butler, a legendary, one of the greatest performances.
I know he had a triple-double, and that's
anybody in Philadelphia can hate this guy. I don't understand it. The Packers are on the board. Aaron Jones on the board for you fantasy owners. It's 7-0 Green Bay. 10 minutes to go in the first quarter. Aaron Jones with a touchdown catch So Aaron Jones, if you had
I think Green Bay is going to smoke them.
Atlanta stinks.
Yeah, they're not a good team.
They really are really awful. But Jimmy Butler, I don't understand how anybody can dislike the Heat, dislike Jimmy Butler. Why? Because Jimmy Butler took a look at what's going around in Philadelphia and said, hey, no thanks. I'm going to go to Miami where the weather's warm and they have a coach who holds the players accountable and I have a better chance to win there.
And a GM who holds everybody accountable and the taxes are a lot less. I mean, that state tax over there, they have no state income tax there.
The Miami Heat last night, they win the game.
Matter to these guys.
They win the game 115 to 104. Jimmy Butler doing his best LeBron James impression. Jimmy Butler played 45 of the 48 minutes, Brad. He went 14 out of 20 from the field, 12 of 14 from the foul line. He had 40 points. He had 13 assists. He had 11 rebounds. He had 2 steals. He had 2 blocks. He guarded LeBron.
He can taste it. I'll tell you what. Maybe he's got that Kawhi Leonard syndrome this in the championship series.
Kawhi Leonard syndrome.
He's gonna take the piano, put it on his back, and try to carry this team. And we'll see what happens. I mean, give him a lot of credit.
I give him an immense amount of credit. He's one of my favorite players in the league. He's great. He doesn't jack threes. He uses the mid-range game. He gets to the hoop. He guards LeBron.
He also is a clutch.
By the way,
he made a lot of big baskets for you guys.
He makes a lot of big baskets for the Miami Heat as well. So that series is 2-1. Now, I don't expect the Miami Heat to win this series, but they're probably going to get Bam Adebayo back tomorrow. And it wouldn't surprise me in the least if they ride this wave to a 2-2 series tie.
Well, hopefully at least he makes it interesting. I'd like to see 2-2 and just make it a watchable series. I mean, the last thing the NBA would want would be for the Lakers to sweep them, and then nobody would be watching Game 4.
Yes, and LeBron really needs to win this series.
LeBron needs to play more than 39 minutes. I mean, it is
39 minutes is a lot, Brad.
I know, but you know what? It's the NBA Finals.
LeBron at 25, 10, and 8. He was guarded by Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler made him earn every bit of that. LeBron also guarded Jimmy Butler for much of the game. But, I mean, I guess they got –
19
and 19.
If Jimmy Butler, who's over 30, can play 45 minutes, LeBron should be playing at least 42. I mean, sorry, you know what? He's the $zillion man, and he's supposed to be. He wants to call himself better than Michael Jordan, and yada 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 yada. You got to be out there.
I hear you.
39 minutes is just barely over 3/4 of the ball game.
The problem with the Lakers last night, Brad, was Anthony Davis only had 33 minutes because he was in foul trouble much of the game. How he got himself in foul trouble with the Heat's best big man, Bam Adebayo, inactive, is beyond me. That can't happen. Anthony Davis has to play much, much better. 15 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals. That's just not going to get it done as LeBron James's partner in crime, so to speak. Morris, he stepped up with 10 points, and Kuzma had 19 points. But you get 25 from LeBron. You get 15 from Davis, 19 from Morris, 19 from Kuzma, and then the next highest scorer is Caldwell Pope with 5. So not a lot of balance going on. Olynyk had 17 for the Heat. Hero had 17 for the Heat. Duncan Robinson had 13. Crowder had 10. So a much more balanced attack, even shorthanded from the Miami Heat. Now they're going to play tomorrow. I would expect the Lakers to bounce back. I would expect Anthony Davis to have a much better game tomorrow, and the Lakers to take a commanding 3-1 series lead. But I wouldn't be betting against Jimmy. I would not be betting against Jimmy.
No, he is very, very capable. And as I said, maybe he's on one of those. Maybe he can get on one of those Kawhi Leonard type roles that Kawhi Leonard had a couple of years ago. I mean,
Yeah.
listen, Kawhi got himself. Kawhi was unconscious when the Raptors won that championship.
Correct.
I mean, he really was, and maybe Jimmy Butler is he's certainly capable of getting to that level. He certainly did it the other day. Hopefully, he can continue to do it. I mean, listen, I think most people who can't stand the Lakers, like you and me, would probably be happy to see it.
Yeah, but I mean, I have no love lost for the Lakers. I mean, I don't really care. I just, I love LeBron.
No, I know you do. I know you. I can't stand the Lakers, and I don't like LeBron at all. Okay, I respect him. He's a great player, but I just whenever he tries to compare himself to Jordan, it just turns me off because you know what?
Does he compare himself to Jordan though, or do people like us compare? Not us per se, but fans and media.
The people who watch today are all saying that he's better than Jordan, and he's not better than Jordan.
Those are people that are under the age of 30.
Yeah, I would think so. He's not better than Jordan. Jordan took every big shot and made every big shot and won 6 championships. And LeBron is not going to win 6 championships. He's just at this point of his career, he's too old to win 6 championships.
Bob Brinkman, this will be a series now. Bam's will be back next game. Bryce Blackwell, Jimmy Baby. Jimmy scored a lot of buckets covered by LeBron. But yeah, Jimmy torched LeBron last night. Jimmy was on fire. Jimmy couldn't be stopped last night. It was awesome to watch. Awesome to watch. Now, Brad, the NHL draft is tomorrow. Obviously, your Rangers have the first pick.
We also have the 22nd pick, Rob.
Lafreniere. The Rangers are really building here. Now, they're not going to do something crazy and trade this first pick for a guy like Brady Tkachuk or something like that.
No. They're picking Lafreniere. If they were gonna trade him, the only guys that would make sense for them to trade it is if they could trade it for Connor McDavid, and that's not going to happen. So, I mean, we're going to have Lafreniere. He's going to play for the Rangers. Now, the 22nd pick in the draft, that's another story. They may trade that. From what I'm hearing, Ryan Strome may be a free agent. They may not make him a qualifying offer. They still haven't made him one yet. And the other 5 guys that they have that are restricted free agents have all gotten qualifying offers. So one has to wonder. He was Artemi Panarin's center, by the way. So you have to start wondering: are they going to let him go and maybe go out and get Torrey Krug, try to sign him as a free agent to take care of the left defense problem? And there's a lot of moving parts with the Rangers.
What about league wide, Brad?
Huh?
What about league wide? Are any big names going to get moved at the draft, or any teams looking to? I mean, we talked about
Line A is going to listen. Free agency starts on Friday, so that's obviously an exciting thing. Patrick Line is a big name that might get moved. All the centers there's a bunch of centers who are going to be free agents. I mean, I think a lot of these centers, a lot of these restricted free agents, I think you may see a lot of them get traded. I think some of the UFAs might get traded tomorrow, and give these teams who wanted the way the Flyers got Kevin Hayes. That way the team that owns their rights gets the first crack at them. I could see that happening. I mean, I could see some. I think there's going to be a lot of trades tomorrow night. As far as Jack Eichel is concerned, I don't think Jack Eichel's getting moved. From what I heard, Buffalo wanted 7 players from the Rangers. 7. They wanted 3 prospects. They wanted 3 guys who are presently on the roster, and they wanted the first round pick in the draft. So my thought about Buffalo trading Eichel is obviously they're going to trade him, because if they were going to trade him, they wouldn't be expecting that much of a ransom back, because nobody's going to give him that. You can also see Ryan Hopkins. He's a center from the Edmonton Oilers who's going to be a free agent next season, I believe. I know Edmonton's trying to trade him. There are rumors about a lot of those guys on Edmonton. So we'll see. I mean, I know the Winnipeg Jets are in the market for defensemen. They actually lost their 1 through 4. If you go from 2018 and 19 to this past season, their entire top 4 defense is gone. That's why they want to trade Line. And I'm thinking your team is got to be in the running there because you know what? You guys have lots of defensemen on your team who are good. I don't think you'd have to give – you're not going to – obviously, you're not going to give up Provorov. But you have a very deep farm system. As I said at the beginning of the broadcast, they're the number 7 farm team in the NHL. They can make some moves. They can bring in a big-time player if they want to do that. You know, they're going to have to get rid of a money player that's making some money. But, you know,
Voracek, Van Riemsdyk, and Gostisbehere are the guys who are making money that I think are the most logical to trade. Obviously,
I think they're going to trade Gostisbehere, and I wouldn't be surprised if they traded who was it you said that was who was the left Van Riemsdyk, right?
Yeah.
I think he's going to get traded too because I think they're going to do what the Rangers did with Stahl. I think they'll give up one of their, maybe they'll throw a 3rd round draft pick in as a sweetener to get rid of him so that one of the other, whoever they trade with, absorbs the salary, and then the Flyers get some extra room on their cap so that they can make a big move. Because they've got to get a goal scorer. They need a sniper on this team in the worst way.
Yes, I agree with that. All right, we have about 8 minutes left, Brad. Let's do early leans, our way too early preview of Week 5 NFL action. That's brought to you by Philly Drinkers. PhillyDrinkers.com. Check out the A2D radio collection as we approach the holiday season. We start on Thursday night. The Tom Brady-led Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to visit the Chicago Bears. The Tom Brady-led Buccaneers, they are 3-point favorites. I don't know.
Brady versus Foles, huh?
Tom Brady versus Foles. Yes, Nick Foles, the Folesian Society is extremely silent today as Nick Foles lost his straight start yesterday to the Indianapolis Colts at home. Tom Brady's got to have this circled on his calendar the second that he remembers that Nick Foles beat him in that Super Bowl. I think
but it's a different team, though.
I know, but Tom Brady, he's got that Mamba mentality, that Jordan mentality. He doesn't like that a player that's nowhere near his stature, Nick Foles, beat him in a championship setting.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I mean, listen.
I think Tom Brady.
You know what? I'm still going to go with the. I'm still going to go with the Chicago Bears.
You take the home dog. I mean, it's a home dog.
I love home dogs, especially when the home dog is not a bad team. The Bears are not bad.
You're correct.
They're a vastly improved football team, and they've got a good defense. You know, and I think that they'll keep that Tampa Bay offense under control. I don't think Tampa Bay. You're not going to see a 30-point effort out of Tampa Bay. I think you're going to see them score in the very low 20s. If the Bears can keep them under 24, I think they have a very good chance to win the game.
I agree. All right, let's move to Sunday. Carolina is going to visit the Atlanta Falcons. The Falcons open as a minus 3.5-point favorite. I like the Panthers here. I'll take the points.
You know, it's in Atlanta.
It is in Atlanta, yes.
Yeah, I'll take the Falcons. I can't trust the Panthers going on the road. Atlanta usually does play pretty well at home. Carolina, I have no faith in them at all. So I know Bridgewater's played well, but I gotta go with Atlanta. Atlanta's gonna win a few games this year, and I think that's gonna be one of them.
Tyrann Mathieu just had a pick six with about 9 minutes to go. Chiefs are probably going to go up 26-10 here. So that pretty much ices the Patriots. They can't move the ball with the backup quarterback. So speaking of the Chiefs, they are 11.5-point favorites over the Las Vegas Raiders. I'll take the Chiefs here. I'll lay the lumber.
At home?
Chiefs are at home, yes.
Yeah, I would take the Chiefs. By the way, now, what are the Chiefs up 20-10?
26-10.
Yeah, you have your bet. You had to give up 10.5, right?
Yep. So I'm looking.
You were worried.
I mean, it's right there. I still might lose. I mean, there's still 9 minutes to go.
Yeah, no, I know, but you know what? At least, but you want to be ahead in the fourth quarter.
Yes.
You want to be ahead in the fourth quarter, especially when you're spotting points.
Speaking of the Patriots, the Denver Broncos are going to Foxborough next week. The Patriots are 10-point favorites. I'll take Denver plus 10.
Yeah, I would too. I can't. 10 points seems like an awful lot. I mean, unless Newton plays. I mean, I don't know if Newton's going to play yet. I mean, if
Newton plays, I don't think that they're – and, I'm getting 10 points, and we just talked about it with the Bears. Like, Denver's not tragic.
No, they got a pretty good defense. I would take Denver because you know what? New England's offense is not that good that they can give 10 points.
Yeah, I agree.
It's one thing for Kansas City to be giving out 10 points. Kansas City could score 2 touchdowns in 5 minutes. At any time of the game. They could run off 3 possessions and 3 touchdowns back to back without blinking an eye. So New England's not doing that.
Jared Goff and the Rams, they travel back east to take on the Washington football team. The Washington football team are 9.5-point home dogs.
How many?
9.5 points.
9.5. Wow.
So the Washington football team is getting 9.5.
That's a lot of points that's a lot of points on the road. I mean, considering the Rams struggled to beat the Giants, I might take the football team and the points.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
I
mean, how about this one? The Jacksonville Jaguars visiting the Houston Texans. The Houston Texans are 6.5-point favorites. I love the Texans here. I think they get the monkey off their back.
Yeah, that's a team that they'll beat, and that's a team that they'll beat handily, especially with a new coach, new feeling.
Yeah, I think Bill O'Brien wore out his welcome. I think they cruise in this one. I love that's my favorite one we've talked about so far.
Yeah, that sounds like a real solid. I think G-Man Choi just bit the Yankees again.
Yeah. I'm not sure if they're going to be playing this game, but the Buffalo Bills are visiting the Tennessee Titans.
Unbelievable. A piece of shit like G-Man Choi can hit a 2-run home run off a Cole again. I'm sorry. I digress. There's
no line out on this game, but it is a marquee matchup. The Buffalo Bills are going to visit the Tennessee Titans.
That's a good one. I
hope they play.
Yeah.
I think the Bills are better.
Yeah, I do too. I like Buffalo. I've liked them the whole season. What's the line on that game? There is no line, right?
Not yet, no.
Okay, so I like Buffalo in that game.
Kyler Murray and the Arizona Cardinals 2-game losing streak. They're going to come east to play the Jets. They are 8.5-point road favorites. I think they get back on track here. I'll lay the line.
I think that they smoke the Jets. The Jets are just a very bad football team right now.
Carson Wentz and the Philadelphia Eagles off the schneid. They're going to Pittsburgh. They are getting 7 points. I'll take the 7 points.
I'll take the 7.
I think the Eagles have a very good chance to win this football game. I don't think the Steelers are invincible. And I'm getting 7 points, and I think the Eagles have a chance to win the game. I'll take the 7 all day.
Yeah, I think the Eagles are going to be in the game. I don't think that's going to be a blowout. I mean, that's way too many points.
The Bengals are visiting the Ravens. The Ravens are 13-point favorites. I think that's too much, Brad. I'll take the Bengals.
13 points. You know what? I wonder who they play the next week. The Ravens. You know, that's a division game. I think I'll take the Bengals too. Those division games, they are always tough.
Ryan Fitzpatrick and the Miami Dolphins traveling out to San Francisco. The San Francisco 49ers are 8.5-point favorites. I don't think the San Francisco 49ers are good enough to be given anyone 8.5. I'll take the dog here.
No, I agree with you.
Your New York Giants are playing the Dallas Cowboys. The Cowboys are 11-point favorites. I like the dog here.
What's the line on that?
11.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that.
425 marquee game. The Indianapolis Colts are visiting the Cleveland Browns. The Cleveland Browns are a home dog to the Indianapolis Colts. I like what Cleveland's doing. I'll take the 2.5 points here.
And who are the Browns playing again?
The Colts.
2.5. I would take the Browns. The Browns are looking really good. They could put points on the board. You know what? And Odell is looking good. I mean, I like the way that team is playing now. It looks like they've definitely fixed their offensive line, and the fact that they have a real coach now, which I think. I mean, I thought that the coach last year was the whole problem with that team. They're looking good. How'd you like that razzle dazzle play with the pass to Beckham from Landry?
That's great.
That was some play. I mean, that was some pass.
It was a great pass from a receiver, nonetheless.
Yeah, I know. I mean, that was a beauty. That was right on target.
Getting into the primetime games, the stinky Minnesota Vikings are going up to Seattle. Seattle is laying 9 points. I'll take Seattle here.
Yeah, I could see Seattle. I could see Seattle putting a number on them.
And then next Monday night, while we're on the air, Justin Herbert, the rookie, going into the Superdome to take on Drew Brees and the New Orleans Saints. The Saints are 7.5-point favorites.
I would spot the 7.5.
So you like the Saints?
I like the Saints at home.
I think the kid covers the line.
Yeah, I like the way the Saints yesterday just killed the Lions. They obviously took their feet off the gas, but I mean, wasn't it 35-7 at one point?
Yes.
So I mean, you know, when it's 35-7, teams tend to take their feet off the gas, and it ended up being 35-24. But the Saints looked like the Saints again. They were rolling.
And I guess there's an outside chance that Michael Thomas could play in that game, which helps a lot.
He played yesterday, I think.
No, he didn't play yesterday.
Well, he did. Could have sworn that he caught a couple of it. No? Okay. Okay, because he's
kind of the first week that he might consider coming back. Anyway, that'll do it for this edition of Sports Hounds. He's Brad Ryer. I'm Rob Brinkman. Shout out to Frank Vesby for producing the show. Shout out to everyone who shared the show, commented on the show. Shout out to our sponsors, Ambuck Services and Dr. Paul Vidal, Specialized Physical Therapy. Be sure to check out PhillyDrinkers.com. Get your fall merchandise, get your holiday gifts for your family. Just click PhillyDrinkers.com. Visit the A2D Radio Collection. Like I said, he's Brad. I'm Rob. Have a good week, everybody. We'll see you next Monday.